Alright, hi, and welcome to my channel. My name is Casey, and today's reading, I want to just start by saying that the natural lighting there's a lot of clouds, so it's going to be really off. So I'll try to keep everything even in the editing, but if it goes from really dark to really bright, I apologize. But yeah, just wanted to get that out of the way. But today's reading is going to be all about what can you do right now to spice up your life, to give your life a little bit more excitement, to wake up feeling excited for the day, to have something that you can look forward to and just feel invigorated. Because I feel like sometimes we let ourselves get into this comfort of letting the days roll by and just doing the same thing every day. And routine is great, comfortability is great, but it's also great to have that excitement, to have that spice in our life. And sometimes it doesn't come as easy. Sometimes this is something that we have to put effort into doing. And so today I wanted to look at, what is something that you could start doing right now? What is some way that you can shift your perspective, or something that you can pick up, or something that you can start doing differently? It doesn't need to be something crazy like spending thousands of dollars to go travel the world. Like, what can you do right here in your backyard? What can you do? What can you do right now to spice up your life? So that's what today's video is going to be all about. So today I have 3 different readings for you to choose from. We have pile 1 with the crazy lace agate, pile 2 with the malachite, and pile 3 with the desert jasper. So go ahead and pause, figure out which reading you feel most drawn to. There will be timestamps in the description box below so you can quickly jump to whichever reading that you want to listen to. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. Alright, pile 1. If you chose the crazy lace agate, then this is going to be the reading for you. Like I said in the beginning, the lighting might be off in this video. I'm going to do my best to keep it even, but I can already tell it's going to be really bright and then it's going to be really dark. But today's reading is going to be all about what you can do right now to spice up your life. And to start you off, I wanted to look at what area of your life do you feel kind of dissatisfied in or kind of bored in? What area of your life do you not feel excited about enough? And so those are the cards in the middle. You have the creativity card and the hanged man reversed. To me, when I look at this, I think of you as a very creative person. Maybe what you do for a living is creating, whether it's creating content or creating artwork, whatever it is. Even if it's not your career, it could be a passion that, the person coming to mind right now is this author, Brandon Sanderson. I'm actually reading his books right now. They're really, really good. Highly recommend if you're into fantasy. The Way of Kings. Fantastic. Long book, but it's really good. Anyways, that's a tangent. But anyways, Brandon Sanderson, he's really famous not just for his books, but because of how he teaches courses on world building, how to actually become an author, like the logistics of it. And I remember I listened to it because I just thought it was so interesting, even though I'm not really into writing. And something that he said is he, as a person, is the kind of person that if he's not writing, if he's not creating, he starts to get cranky. He starts to get upset. This is his way of unwinding. It's his way of being happy. It's without it, he's not properly balanced. And I get the sense that you are that kind of person where you have a lot of creative energy within you, and if you're not letting it properly flow, or you don't have some way to let it out, you can feel very blocked, you can feel very frustrated. And with this creativity card and the hanged man reversed, I get the sense that you're somebody that loves to be creative. You're really good at it, and honestly, I feel like it's what you were put on this earth to do. But with the hanged man reversed, I feel like you're kind of stuck in this rut where whatever you're doing or whatever you're creating or whatever you're putting out, it's not really fulfilling you right now. It just kind of feels a little off. You're not super proud of it, or you're not super positive about it. And maybe it's good, maybe people are still enjoying it, or maybe other people look at it and they compliment it and they're like, wow, that's amazing. But you look at it and you're like, I wasn't really in the best headspace when I created that. I wasn't really feeling it. And I just don't know why I'm in this slump. I don't know why my motivation or my inspiration isn't there as strongly. I feel like that's what you're going through right now. Creativity can feel like an eternal flame. It can feel like this bursting thing within you that you have to just let out. That's how I get sometimes about these readings. I'll have these amazing ideas come to me, and in an instant, I can go from being like, I don't really want to make a reading today. There's no idea that I feel passionate about. And then the idea comes to mind, and all of a sudden I'm like, oh my God, I need to get my camera out as soon as possible. How can I plug in all these things faster? Because I just want to get set up as soon as possible. Creativity is something that we can't really control when the inspiration comes, but when it does, it's like this explosion, and we just need to direct it into something. And for you, I feel like you're missing that feeling of that explosion. You haven't really felt that in a while. You're kind of just getting these little bursts of spark, and you're trying to like keep this thing going. You know that this is something that you love to do and you want to do, but you're just frustrated. Like you can't quite grasp that inspirational hit. You can't quite grasp that spark. And so today on the sides, the cards that we have here for you are, what can you do to get this spark back? What can you do to spice up this area of your life again? So starting off, we have the Illumination card and the Two of Wands. Unfortunately about this, especially as somebody that is very creative and I understand this process that you're going through, sometimes creativity and inspiration, it's something that we just want to come to us. It's not something that we have to actively work at, because creativity and actively working on something logically, they don't really seem to go hand in hand, if you know what I mean. Like creativity is flame, and hard work and like logic is like earth. They don't really mix well together. But I think for you, if you want to be able to reach this inspiration, you need to come up with a concrete plan of how am I actually going to get this? Does it look like brainstorming? Does it look like going on Pinterest and viewing other people's art? Does it look like X, Y, and Z? You need to come up with a plan, because what I see here, this Illumination card, this is when you come across that discovery of that idea that you just want to create. In my world, that would look like me finally finding, oh, this is the perfect video idea. This is the perfect reading idea that I just want to do. It's that burst of like, there is the idea. But in order for you to find it, you can't just expect it to randomly come to you while you're, I don't know, walking on a treadmill. When I look at this Two of Wands card, I see somebody that is so determined to find this idea that they're like, okay, I'm planting my wands in the ground and I'm going to sit here and I'm going to think until this idea comes to me. And that's not fun. That's not sexy. Nobody really likes brainstorming, trying to hunt for inspiration, especially if you don't feel motivated. But the reality of this, especially if you're trying to have a career in creativity, sometimes this is what you're going to have to do. If you want to have that consistent workflow, or you want to have that consistent output of creation, you need to create a plan to learn how to hunt for inspiration. Because you can't just expect it to come to you on your own timetable. It has to be something that you actively work at. And it's going to be a pain in the butt. You're going to be like, ugh, this doesn't make me feel inspired. Like, why am I just spending all this time? But I promise you it's going to be worth it. Because after you sit there for 20 minutes or an hour scrolling through Pinterest or listening to music or doing whatever it is that you need to do, all of a sudden that amazing idea will come to you and you will feel that burst of creative energy. And you know what I'm talking about if you're a creative person. When you get that burst of an idea and you just need to run. Like you're like, how can I create this as soon as possible? You will find that. But it's going to be something that you have to hunt for and work for. I want to direct you to... I brought up Brandon Sanderson in the beginning, but he teaches courses at BYU in, whatchamacallit, I don't know, the Mormon state. I can't remember the name. I think it's Utah. Anyways, on YouTube, there's a 9-part series. Each episode is like an hour long, and it's really interesting. It's all about writing. He has an entire episode on how to properly world build. He has an entire episode on how to create your layout for your book. He has an entire episode about how to reach out to publishers, how to actually get into things like the logistics of, what does your career look like while you're writing on the side. Like I said, I'm not a writer. I don't really plan on being a writing. I mean, I'm very good at writing, but I just don't have the attention span or the typing speed for it, to be honest. But I highly encourage you, if you're any kind of creative, listening to that, and especially the cadence that he talks in, the way that he talks, it's really easy to pay attention. And it was super, super interesting. I don't know if everybody would be interested in that, but if you plan on having a career in creation of any kind, you can get actually some useful information out of that, even if you don't plan on being a writer. And like I said, who doesn't want to learn about how to world build? Like, even though I'm not going to be a writer, I think that process is incredibly cool. But the next 2 cards that we have here, the last 2 cards that we have for you, are the Stop card and the 9 of Cups. This, to me, is saying stop being satisfied and reach for more. Because it's really interesting. The Nine of Cups is one of the most positive cards in the deck. It talks about like the utmost satisfaction, your wishes being fulfilled, but it's also 9. It's not 10. It's not perfect completion. And if you stay satisfied with where you are right now in your creativity, where you are in your skill level or where you are in your output, and you're just kind of satisfied with it, you're never going to be able to reach beyond. You're never going to reach that 10, that completion. And so you need to stop looking at things and just being like, you know what, this is okay. I'll settle for that. Now, I'm not saying to only put out perfect work or only create perfect work. Another thing that Brandon Sanderson talked about in that writing class that I was telling you about, is he talked about how people that want to become published authors, you might need to write 20 novels before you have the one that really hits, the one that gets published, the one that people love. But in the meantime, some days you'll wake up and you won't want to write, but you'll have to do it anyway. You'll have to say, okay, what's my word count goal for the day? Even if I'm not actively working on a novel, what am I going to write? Let me just put something out there. And then it's like, let's just get to the end of this novel. Let's finish this novel. Even though I don't love the idea anymore, let's finish it. Okay, it's done. There's a novel completed. Boom. Now let's move on to the next one. And you might have to do that over and over and over again until you reach the perfect one. But the only way that you can get to that completion is by looking at what you're doing right now. You can be proud of it, but don't be satisfied to the point that you're like, I don't need to improve. Continue to push yourself, continue to reach for better. Now, it's a fine line that you need to walk, because I don't want you to become obsessed with, this is trash, I need to be better, I need to be better. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying to always strive for more. Never feel like what you're doing is good enough. Now, it's good, but don't ever tell yourself that this is the height of what I can reach. Tell yourself that you can reach more. I hope you understand what I'm trying to say. I'm not saying be dissatisfied with your work or being upset at your work and thinking that it's not good, but always think like, this is great, but how can I improve? How can I do better? It's a fine line that you have to walk. Like I said, don't let it become an obsession, but at the same time, don't ever just settle. I think that there's always room for improvement. So, pile 1, that is everything that I have for you. I truly wish you the best. I think creativity is a beautiful thing, but sometimes it can also feel like a curse, because it's a pain in the ass trying to find that inspiration, and it comes and it goes, and sometimes it's amazing, and other times you're just like dragging your feet through the mud. But I promise you, it's exciting. At the very least, it's an exciting life to live, and it's the life that will make you happiest, you most fulfilled. So I urge you, continue on this path. I truly wish you the best. I think I'd rather have more artwork and more creation in the world than the opposite. So that is where I'll leave you. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye. Alright, pile 2. If you chose the Malachite, then this is the reading for you. Like I said at the beginning, the lighting is kind of off today. It might jump from being super bright to super dark, so hopefully you're just listening to this video. I'll do my best to make it look nice. But anyways, getting into your reading today, the way that we're doing this is we're starting off by looking at, what is the area of your life that you kind of wish was spiced up, or you feel a little bored in, or you're a little dissatisfied in? How can you spice it up? So the start cards that we got here are Ideation and the Four of Wands reversed. Now, if this doesn't sound like you, because this is for a very specific group of people, I can already tell, you might want to go back to the beginning and choose again. It could be that you chose the wrong one, or it could just be that this video isn't meant for you. But I feel like pile 2, those of you that resonate with this, I feel like you are a very romantic type of person. I feel like maybe you're single and you're a little dissatisfied being single, or you just haven't really found you haven't found the right person to be in a relationship with. And I just get this big sense of dissatisfaction in your love life. And I also think with the Ideation card, like, you might be the kind of person that, I don't know how young you are, but if you use TikTok, and on TikTok there's people that will like post their relationship and it's all cute, and then the entire comments are like, I'm laying on the railroad tracks tonight, or like, I'm about to jump off a bridge, or like, if you look closely in the background you can see me crying, and it's like, I feel bad. As somebody that's in a relationship, I feel bad, but at the same time, those comments are so funny. But I feel like you're the kind of person that will look at those relationship things and think like, oh, why not me? Or why is it that everybody that I talk to, nothing ever works out? Or why haven't I found the right person? Or like, spirit, when will the right one come? And what I have to say to that is the right one is out there. You are not destined to be alone forever, despite how it might feel sometimes. But what I do see for you is, if you look at yourself right now, and I don't mean this as a harsh judgment, I don't mean this to offend anybody, but if you look at yourself right now, do you see somebody that fully loves themselves and loves their life? Do you see somebody that is exuding sunshine and exuding positive energy and exuding confidence? Because if you don't, then I want you to imagine, and like I said, I don't mean this to diss you, I mean this like cold hard facts, because I'm always going to give people the honest truth of what I'm seeing in the cards. If you were looking at yourself from a third person perspective, or if you were somebody else and you saw yourself, I don't know, at a party or walking around, and you kind of have this down energy, is that going to be somebody that you want to approach? Is that going to be somebody that looks like the life of the party, and or look like somebody that's going to be into a conversation with you? Probably not. And like I said, this has nothing to do with physical attractiveness or physical looks. It has everything to do with the confidence and the happiness and the positive energy that you're producing. And if you constantly have these thoughts in your mind of, I'm dissatisfied in this area of my life, or I'm stressed out here, and why am I only getting like these bad people that I can't really get into a relationship with? Somebody that is maybe interested in you or thinks that you're attractive, that wants to come up, is immediately going to feel those vibes and be like, oh, maybe I don't want to talk to this person. It has nothing to do with you as a person. It has everything to do with the vibe that you're giving off, if that makes sense. And so what you can do, because I'm seeing actual things that you can take care of, like things that you can actively start working on today that will help you not just better yourself and better your life, but make people more attracted to you. And it has nothing to do with changing your looks, and everything to do with changing the vibe that you're producing to the world, changing the level of confidence that you're producing, because that is everything. You can look at somebody who's kind of slouched over, who's like hiding in the corner, who maybe talks bad about themselves or makes a bunch of self-deprecating jokes that makes everybody around them kind of uncomfortable. You could look at that person and change nothing about them except make them stand a little taller, make them speak with an unwavering confidence, make them put a smile on their face, make them put some effort into how they're showing themselves to the world and the way that they speak, and those will seem like completely different people. Even if you didn't really change like the outfit you put them in or what they physically look like, if you just changed like the stance that they have or the vibe that they're giving off, the level of confidence that they have, one person is going to kind of like scare other people away, while the other person is going to be the person everybody wants to surround at the party, everybody wants to get to know, and it has everything to do with confidence. And I feel like sometimes you might look at yourself and think, does it have to do with my looks? Does it have to do with X, Y, and Z? Like, do people just not like me? No. The truth is, honestly, what I'm seeing here is it has everything to do with confidence and the aura that you're giving off. And that is something that you have control of. So instead of nitpicking your appearance and thinking like, oh, is my forehead too big? Or maybe it's like my appearance that they don't like. Don't nitpick that and focus instead on what you can control, because you can't control that. And at the end of the day, people will have their own specific type. People will have the kinds of people that they're attracted to. But the right person that's attracted to you, the difference between whether or not they come up to you and want to get to know you is going to have everything to do with the way that you carry yourself, the way you speak about yourself, the way that you engage in conversation. Are you maintaining eye contact? Are you smiling? Are you laughing? Are you joking around? Are you having a good time when you go out? That is going to make a world of difference. And so that was me a little bit on a tangent. But what I'm seeing here with what you can actively start doing, instead of focusing on finding a romantic relationship and going out on dates, because you can do that, but what I would urge you to do right now, get closer with your friends. When they want to go out on a Friday night or a Saturday night, say yes. Allow yourself to just go with the focus of, I'm not going to find a man tonight or a woman tonight. Just focus instead on, I'm going to have a good time with my friends. I'm going to enjoy myself. I'm going to listen to good music. I'm going to eat good food. And I'm going to party. I'm going to have a good time. And I'm going to, by finding love for these friends, and then finding love for myself and love for the space around me, loving the energy, that is what's gonna make people more attracted to you. When you shine brighter, that's what attracts more people. And so you start by loving yourself, loving your friends, and it's easier to start there because you probably already care about your friends. It's not hard to have a good time with your friends, but it's gonna be more difficult if the entire time, maybe you go out to a party or a club and the entire time your friends are so fixated on like, how many guys are we going to talk to tonight? And you're like, yeah, I got to focus on who am I going to rizz up? Who am I going to talk to tonight? Instead, just be like, you know what? Instead of focusing on that, I'm going to focus on having a good time. And then you'll be surprised at how many more people would want to come up to you, would want to have a conversation with you, would want to dance with you, versus the other way around where maybe you're feeling a little insecure and you start off the night thinking, okay, I need to talk to somebody tonight. And then it goes into, why has nobody come up to me yet? And then your shoulders are slumping and then your vibe is going down. And it's because you started off the night with the wrong focus. You're already upset and stressed about this. So instead, focus on just having a good time with your friends. That's when you'll start to exude love and it will make you so much more attractive, so much more high vibe. Trust me on this. And it's a hell of a lot easier than just trying to put yourself out there right away. Now finally, we have these last 4 cards: Comfort, Fear, the Two of Pentacles, and the Seven of Wands reversed. When I look at these cards, now, like I said, the other thing that you could do is, that's something that's easy to do. That's like you go out with friends and instead of having your focus on finding a romantic partner, focus instead on having a good time. And it doesn't even need to be like parties and clubs all the time. It could be going to the beach or going out on a hike or just going shopping. But whatever it is, instead of focusing on finding a romantic partner, focus instead on how can I have the best time possible? How can I have the most positive mindset possible? There's that. But now we have to look within because I think there are some deeper things going on within you that are making it harder for you to put yourself out there. What I see here, you have the Fear card and the Comfort card. Immediately, this makes me think, if I had to put this into a sentence, your fears are keeping you stuck in this quote-unquote comfort. It's comfortable to not put yourself out there. It's comfortable to stay with what you know. It's comfortable to just do the same thing every day and not really try to put yourself out there. You have these fears telling you you'll get rejected, or they're not going to like you, or you're going to be awkward, or you're going to come off weird. Those fears, they are useful. It's our ego trying to protect us from rejection. And it's true, rejection is possible, but you need to start by looking within and telling your ego, I thank you for giving me these fears because I see that you're just trying to protect me. But I don't need you to protect me anymore. I don't need you to push these fears into my mind. I understand the risks that I'm taking on, and I'm willing to take them on, because I don't just want comfortable. I want better. I want excitement, and I deserve it. And eventually, you'll start to replace those thoughts in your mind, those thoughts of insecurity and fear, with silence. And it's because oftentimes we don't fully stand up, look our fears in the eye, and address our ego and say, thank you. Usually we hear those fears and we give in, or we hear those fears and we're like, oh, like there are those fears again. There's that anxiety again, talking to me in my mind, telling me all the reasons why I can't. But instead, if you face it and you understand it's just trying to help you and you say, thank you, but I don't need you, it makes it a lot easier to let go of those fears than fighting them every step of the way or giving in to them because it's comfortable to stay where you are. I hope it makes sense what I'm trying to say here, but I think the deeper level of work that you need to do is how can I address these fears, these insecurities of possible rejection? How can I, even when I'm afraid of it, even when I'm afraid that it might not work out, how can I still push myself to take action, to ask for that phone number or strike up that conversation with that attractive individual across the bar? I think that when you can do that, when you can get over those fears, it's going to make it a lot easier to get out of your shell. And let me tell you this. You will get rejected. Like, it's a given. And not everything is going to work out because maybe, and like I said, it has nothing to do with you. Maybe it has everything to do with the other person. Maybe they're already seeing somebody, or maybe they're just not feeling it tonight, or maybe they're gay and you're straight. Like, it could be any number of reasons. But if you immediately start looking at yourself and be like, it's my fault I was rejected. It takes 2 to tango. For all you know, the other person just has like something on their mind and they're not interested. But you need to take that rejection in stride and say, okay, It wasn't meant to be, but it's not a reflection of me. Think of it instead as, okay, maybe this one didn't work out. Maybe I talked to this person, I got kind of shut down. I'll tell you a funny story. Let me finish this thought first. Okay, maybe a rejection happens. Yeah, it sucks, but think of it as, okay, that's one more practice round that I got in before the real person came along, before the one came along. Because when the one comes along, you want to be ready. You want to have, confidence when you talk to them, and you can only do that if you've built up enough practice. So when people reject you, think of it instead as, well, I didn't really want them anyway, but I'm glad I got the practice. And I'll tell you a story. So, me and my friends were out at a bar, and we got separated, and we were like waiting to meet up with them. We were like standing in this corner. It really wasn't that great of a bar. Like, it was super crowded, the music was terrible. But we're sitting in this corner, me and my friend, we're waiting for our other friends to come back and meet us. And this guy comes up, and he like is trying to like chat us up and get to know us. And so he reaches out his hand to like shake our hands. First of all, I'm a lesbian, so I don't want to get to know him. I'm fully like arms crossed, turning the other way, because not only do I not really want to talk to this guy, but like I don't want to touch a stranger's hand, especially a man's hand. They don't wash their hands when they go to the bathroom. No offense. Like, I'm not taking that chance. It could be sweaty too. Like, I'm a little bit germophobic. Anyways, it has nothing to do with that guy. I'm sure he's a great guy, and I appreciate his confidence that he's putting himself out there. But from his perspective, seeing me like arms crossed, not even addressing him, not even shaking his hand when he reaches it out, yeah, that was pretty rude. And it probably was a little bit like, oof. And he even walked away, and he was like, all right, loud and clear. I felt bad, but at the same time, it had everything to do with me. My germophobia had to do with me just not really wanting to shake the hand of a random stranger in a dark bar. It had nothing to do with him. But he might walk away from that instance and think, I was ugly, or those girls didn't want to get to know me because X, Y, and Z. He's immediately going to turn it on himself. Now me, having my perspective in that conversation, I know it has everything to do with me and just simply not really wanting to talk to that guy and nothing to do with him. But it's all about perspective. And so I wanted to give you that story because if you try putting yourself out there and you get shut down in probably one of the worst ways, like me, where it's just like hand out and like the other person just doesn't even shake your hand and like physically turns away, that's pretty rough. But at least now I've given you this perspective of, it has nothing to do with you, and take that rejection and be like, you know what? I'm glad I got the extra practice. And I'm glad that I have that story at the back of my mind to think, you know what? It probably has everything to do with the other person and nothing to do with me. So then you can just move on, go about your business, and have it not affect you as deeply. Because I feel like if you didn't hear that story and you can't really commit it to memory, that thing might happen to you and you'll immediately turn it on yourself. It'll fan the flames of your insecurity. It'll make you feel like, oh, I was unattractive, or maybe I smelled bad, or X, Y, and Z reason why they didn't want to get to know me. You need to learn to brush off those fears and be able to put yourself out there. Because I feel like you're kind of in this energy of like, you don't even want to fight anymore. You're like, I'll just be here, comfortable. I'm fine being single. I don't even really want a relationship anyway. Don't lie to yourself. I don't think people need relationships, but I think it's something that you really long for. And to deny yourself your own desires and cover it up with lies and say, I'm comfortable here when you're not, you're giving into the fear that your ego is feeding you. And like I said, ego is necessary. It helps protect us. But in this situation, it's time for you to step away from it. It's time for you to say, thank you for protecting me, but I don't need you to hold me back anymore. It's time for you to not be held back and learn to put yourself out there. And like I said, start easy by not focusing on a romantic relationship. Focus instead on your friendships. Focus on having a good time. Focus on building up your vibe, building up your confidence, and then the relationships will flow in. And maybe instead it'll look like, instead of you having to put in all the work to get to know people, since you're giving off such a positive vibe, such a confidence and positive energy, people start coming to you when you're not even really expecting it. It wasn't even on your mind. Before you know it, the right person will come along. But it starts with you and the perception that you're giving the world. So, pile 2, this is pile 2. Pile 2, that is everything that I have for you. I really hope you enjoyed this reading. I hope this helps you. And I truly wish you the best on your journey. But that is everything that I have. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye. Okay, pile 3. If you chose the Desert Jasper, then this is the reading for you. Now, it took me a minute to figure out your reading because I started all these readings off with, what area of your life needs spicing up. And for pile 1, pile 2, they had very specific areas of their life that maybe they were dissatisfied in or maybe they were a little bit bored in. But for you, it's not that there's a specific area of life. It's that your entire life kind of feels like it has a cloud over it. Like the sun hasn't really been shining in quite a while. I feel like what needs to be worked on is your own insecurity, your own self-esteem, your own confidence, your faith in yourself and your abilities. I feel like these are some really deep pains and deep issues that, because it's not resolved, it's leading to this cloud over your life. I wouldn't be surprised if you were the kind of person that constantly maybe feels like you're a little bit cringe, or feels like you get embarrassed easily, or you get anxious easily, or you wonder how people perceive you, or you wonder if what you're doing is right or not. And it all stems from not feeling sure about yourself, not feeling confident that, for instance, the decision that you make is the right decision, or the words that you're speaking, maybe they don't feel like the right words. Maybe you feel like you'd be better off just not speaking. And it makes you want to build a shell around yourself. It makes you want to shelter in place. It makes you not want to go out. It makes you not want to do more because you have this cloud that makes you feel like you're constantly getting rained on. And I'm literally imagining like a cat that was left out in the rain, and like they're all shivering, and like you can see all their bones because like their hair is like down to their skin. It's just a very sad image that I'm getting in mind. I'm gonna recommend a book to you, which I've never read before. I honestly don't know if it's good or not, but I went to therapy like a year ago. Didn't really work out. I only had like 2 sessions. Really, like, we were not compatible as people, but those 2 sessions were some of the most profound moments in my life somehow. Like, it felt almost like a hurricane came through in the matter of 5 minutes, because I didn't know that woman for very long, but in that short amount of time, she made me have so many different realizations about myself, about my path, and about the way that I carry myself. It's like I didn't really have a clear view of how I carried myself because I'm coming from my perspective. And having the third perspective, it changed everything. It really awakened me to a lot of things. And a book that she recommended to me is something called 10 Days to Self-Esteem. Now, I got the book like she recommended, but I don't even think I ever opened it, just because I'm kind of lazy and I procrastinate. But I feel like that is the kind of book that could really help you. And maybe you go to Barnes & Noble or the library and you read through like the first chapter, and maybe it doesn't really make a lot of sense for you. Maybe you're not into it. I would urge you, find books along those lines. Anything having to do with building up self-esteem or how to recognize low self-esteem in yourself. Because sometimes we hear the words low self-esteem and we immediately just think about confidence. But self-esteem goes a lot deeper than that. It's how we talk to ourselves. It's how we talk to others. It's like something I didn't realize that I did at the time was every time I would tell her about my life or about what I wanted to do with my life, I would say, but I don't know. Or at the end, I'd be like, but what do you think? And she's like, no, say it like a statement. You say everything like a question, like you're not sure about it, like you're asking for somebody's permission to have those feelings. And the reason that I bring this up is because I feel like that might be something that you do too. It might be something that you're not even realizing, but the longer it goes on, the longer that you allow this cloud to be overhead, the longer that your life just starts to get dimmer and dimmer, and you have a hard time getting out of that hole. And it's time for you to dig yourself out of that hole, because it seems like every different section of your life is being affected by it. Like I said, for pile 1, pile 2, they just had like specific areas of their life that needed to be spruced up. For you, it's not that your entire life needs reworking, it's that your entire life is covered by a cloud, and the cloud needs to be removed. Because what I'm seeing here, on the sides, these are the cards about how to spice up your life or how to improve your life. For you, I don't even know if I would use the word spice so much as like triage, like it's time to get rid of this cloud. But what I see, you have the Sadness card and the Hanged Man reversed. Because of this cloud, because of this sadness or just this feeling of apathy, or like it's gotten to this point where you're just dejected, I feel like. You're just kind of moving through life, kind of just trudging along. Because this has been here for this long, it's getting you to this point where it's hard for you to just want to get out of bed. It's hard for you to want to pursue the hobbies and the interests that you had when you were younger, because it's like, oh, I don't really have the energy for that. Or maybe people find it weird, or X, Y, and Z reason, and you're just kind of letting the days roll past. You're just letting life not pass you by, but it's like life is just going and you're just kind of like staying in place. And I don't say this to blame you or so you can be mad at yourself. I say this to wake you up, because the only person that is able to make a change is you. And you don't have to make a change, but I think you want to. And I know it's hard, but the only thing that will make you love life and feel a lust for life and feel love for yourself and help you get out of this funk is you making a decision to get out of it. You making a decision to clear away this cloud, to be more in tune with your self-confidence, to be able to be confident in your abilities, confident in your intellect, confident in the way you speak, to make you go after things that you love in life and pursue what you love without feeling terrified of judgment or feeling like this anxiety that's just this cloud over you. The only person that can make those decisions and take those actions is you. And finally, here you have the growth card clarified by the Page of Wands reversed, the Three of Cups, and the Nine of Cups. When I look at this Page of Wands reversed, it makes me think that you're the kind of person where you get a lot of your self-image is very reliant on what other people think of you. You care a lot about how you're perceived, how people talk about you, what people are attracted to you, what people like your Instagram posts, or what people X, Y, and Z. You put all of your self-image and your self-esteem in how others view you. You care so much about it, whether you realize it or not. And with all of this being clarified by the growth card, I think the only way for you to grow and truly blossom is for that self-esteem and that value to come from within. And it sounds cheesy, but it's a lot more difficult than I think anybody really understands. Because when you've gone your entire life basing your self-worth around what other people think of you, to suddenly tell yourself, like, I'm just gonna stop caring, it's near impossible. Like, this is not something that you can just stop caring about. It's something that everybody deals with. And even if you do become fully healed and you're super confident, there will be days where, like, somebody says something and you're just a little, ugh. But for too long, you've cared so much about other people's opinions that it's like if one person says one negative thing about you, or one person doesn't really seem to like you, or you get rejected, it's like your entire growth can just stop. And instead of giving this growth the sunshine that it needs, instead of giving this plant the sunshine that it needs to grow and be strong, you just constantly have a cloud over it. And some rain is good. Maybe I'll call that rain humility. Some humility is good. Too much humility, and you're never gonna blossom. And so some concrete things that I see that you can do right now is, first of all, you can start by focusing on what matters, focusing on those that you care about, and just having a good time with them. Sometimes the simple answer to these huge problems and these huge questions is just do what you love for a little bit. In order to dig yourself out of a hole, for instance, of sadness, instead of immediately focusing on how do I deal with this sadness, get yourself to a point where you're feeling a little bit upbeat, or you're feeling a little bit high vibe, and then try to tackle the problem. Because it's like you're trying to tackle this sadness while you're in the pit of it. You're trying to tackle this self-esteem while you're in the pit of it. It's going to be a lot easier to tackle it if you're feeling a little bit better, if you're feeling a little bit happier. So I would urge you, if I had to give you a list of things to do to tackle this problem today, I would say, go have some fun with friends. Spend some time with your pets or with your animals. If you have a passion that you love, like let's say for some reason you have an obsession with like zebras, I would say, okay, go to the zoo. Like any kind of passion, or maybe you love video games. I tell you, go play some video games. Go read your book. Go to a coffee shop. Get some sunshine. a lot of the time, what we need is to get outside, get some vitamin D. Go walk in nature, go play chess. I would urge you, the first step in all of this is not to tackle these hard questions and these difficult problems. The first step is go outside and be a kid. Have some fun. If you think about, as a child, we all start off with the height of confidence. You see kids running around, they're screaming, they're wild, they have no cares in the world, like they could be covered in mud and they're smiling. And then something happens when we hit, our preteen years and our teenage years and we start to be, lacking confidence. I think I remember hearing a study or something where it's around the age of 7 or 8 that kids start feeling the need to like be shy and like cover themselves up. So eventually we get to a point where that brightness starts to dim and it gets really easy to stay dim. But I think the first step for you in learning to overcome this dimness that's been injected into you since you were a child is to go back to before all that. Go back to what you used to love. I'll say I have a really weird hobby. Or at least I think it's funny. Me and my friends always joke about it. But when I was little, I would always play like army. Like, you know how a lot of young boys, they'll play with Nerf guns? I was always out there with the boys. I was always playing with Nerf guns. I was making spears. I was wearing camouflage and wearing these like SWAT Halloween costumes and like pretending to be in the army. And like I ran a drill, what's it called? I was like a drill instructor for the kids in my neighborhood, and I was having so much fun doing all that. And so today, I don't really do any of that, but those interests have kind of remanifested in my major hyperfixation and special interest is like tactical stuff and like plate carriers and like it's really weird. Anyways, I urge you to look at yourself and look at what sets your heart on fire the way that it did when you were a kid. Like, what interest do you have? Maybe it's painting. Maybe it's, like I said, some hyperfixation on whales. Or like for me, it was a hyperfixation on tactical things and guns and stuff like that. I always thought that was so cool. Look at that and look at like, how can I just let myself indulge in this? How can I just let myself have childlike fun? Start with that. Start with having fun with your friends, allowing yourself to go outside and just focus on hobbies and fun things. Easy. That's easy to do. It's hard to let ourselves do that because we'll think like, I should be working instead of doing this. I should be doing XYZ, like, or this is weird, like I'm an adult, I shouldn't be doing this. Fuck that. Don't listen to that voice. Listen to the childlike side of you that has been locked away and let it have some fun. When you do that, it's going to lift your vibe so much that it'll be so much easier to tackle these adult issues. It'll be so much easier to be a more efficient worker, first of all, if you're like a workaholic. It'll make you better at working because you'll be a higher vibe. You're not going to feel so dejected all the time. And the other thing that I'll give you, when I look at this 9 of Cups card, in order to keep growing, in order to instill some confidence in yourself, make a list of wishes that you want fulfilled. Now, like actual practical things that you can do. Like, I don't know, joining an RC car race group. I don't know, like joining a group of people that want to race around like those little RC cars. I don't know. Make a list of all the things that you would love to fulfill. Wishes that like if all these were fulfilled, you would feel like you're living a really happy, indulgent life. Or maybe one of your wishes is, like for me, one of my wishes would be I want to go hike in the mud caves in like near Anza Borrego, California. I used to go there when I was little. Super pretty hiking in the desert. You're going through these caves that are made by all this like rushing water. Super fun. That would be on my list. I want you to make a list of 10 things that you would love to fulfill, things that would just truly make you happy. Not like, I want to pay off my house. Okay, we all want to do that, but that's adult. Do something like just a list of 10 things that's really fun. And once you fulfill all those things, you're going to be in such a different mindset. Even if you haven't actively worked on, upgrading your confidence and all that, it's a lot easier to tackle those sorts of problems and clear away the clouds if you let in a little bit of sunshine first. Trust me, not only is it going to make this issue a lot easier to tackle, but I think it's going to actually lessen your issue a lot. I feel like a lot of this is just reinforced by unhappiness. Like, yes, there's insecurity, there's lack of self-esteem or lack of confidence, but it's made stronger by lack of happiness. When you take away that lack of happiness and you instill happiness instead, when you instill that optimism and that positive vibe and that fun, then all of a sudden this insecurity and stuff, it's a lot weaker. It doesn't have a shield to protect it, and then you can start working at taking it down. Now, when it comes to the self-esteem, the confidence and stuff, I'll leave that to the books. I urge you, go to a bookstore, learn. Maybe if you have the resources, if you're able to, I encourage you, go to a therapist. Sometimes, even if it's not a great therapist like the one I told you about, sometimes we just need a third perspective to tell us what's going on with us that we couldn't really see ourselves. And trust me, I think if you can do all this, start with the fun things. Like I said, make that list of things that you want to do. Once you can do all that, I feel like the world is your oyster. Like, the biggest problem that you have right now is there's just a cloud over your life. But I think that you have a lot that you can do. There's a lot that you can strive for. There's a lot that you can complete in this life. But it starts with, how can I make myself excited to get out of bed? And right now, it's hard for you to get out of bed. I don't think you're excited to wake up every day. But tackle that question first. How can I make myself excited to get out of bed every single day? That is what's going to make life so much more worth living. And it's going to be a long process. It's going to be tough, but it is worth it. And nobody else is going to do it for you except for you. So, pile 3, that's where I'll leave you. I truly, truly wish you the best on this journey. Like I said, I know it's not going to be easy, but I hope that this reading could have helped you in any way, shape, or form. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.